Okay, I will be demoing the AOScan mobile device and doing a vitals scan for a client. So to do that, you click on the vitals key, and then we will click on the scan. But notice that you can select which things you want to scan for, and we'll just scan for them all. So I'm pressing the scan button now. At this point, we're doing a scan of this person's information field, aura, their body. We're doing it through subtle energy frequencies using radionics, which is not accepted or acknowledged as being real by current medical organizations. This is experimental, educational, and according to us, it has value, and that value is not accepted yet by many people. That's why it's experimental and educational. We're finding out how well it does correlate. The concept is that frequency uh, reflects in some way the physical chemistry of a body. So whether or not that's true, again, is a matter of debate, and so it stays in the educational and experimental field, but we find it to be valuable in determining what lifestyle and dietary changes to make. And in a second, this will have finished scanning this person. And once it's finished, we will then do the next operation, which will be to click on Optimize Frequencies. So just as the original scan was scanning frequencies, this is optimizing frequencies. And this means that we are pushing out of range frequencies into range. We are trying to do what noise canceling headphones do, and that is cancel out something that's wrong and leave what's best. So a opposite of the wrong frequency would be sent to push that frequency over to where it should be. And again, this is experimental and educational. The hope is that by optimizing a frequency, that there will be an improvement in the physiology or the chemistry. And it takes just a little bit longer to do the optimization process than it does to do the original scan, because it optimizes and then rechecks. And it does that for all the many thousands of frequencies that are being checked. Okay, so this optimization is done. Now let's look at the report and make commentary on how we could use a report like this to change our diet or lifestyle. So now I'm clicking on reports. And this report will be generated from the frequencies that were just analyzed and the optimization with the rescanning of the frequencies. So now we'll go down. Now let me point out that on the right is the original frequency. On the left are the frequencies after optimization. Anytime that you see a green, that means it's within a normal range. Anytime you see a red, that means that frequency is believed to indicate something that's out of range. And those frequencies and their meanings have been determined over decades of research, mostly carried on in Europe, and it's starting to be done in the US, but most of this research has come from Russia, Germany, Spain, Portugal, etc. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that HDL is in range, and we have one marker of LDL being out of range, and that range was after optimization, which some people we wonder about. It just means that that was borderline, and after optimization, the next scan showed that it was out of range. There's about an 85% accuracy, so you can easily have a false positive on the first test, and then it gets corrected on the second, or the same thing, a false negative and then a false positive. You've got a 15% leeway for error, that's what these decades of research are showing. So it's 85% accurate. Now you might keep in mind that blood tests have been found to be about 65% accurate, meaning if you send them out to 3 different labs, you'll get 3 different results. And so we're going to make the choice to believe that the LDL frequency is probably either at the high, it's on the close to the edge between normal and not normal. And so in most cases, this would mean the LDL is too much. LDL is a damaging type of cholesterol. Now going down to the next section, blood lipids 2, you'll see that the ApoB and the ApoB to ApoA1 ratio is also out of range. That's normally associated with vascular damage, and with an LDL out of range, it's possible that there's been some kind of vascular damage. That's very common. Even people in their teens can have vascular damage, and that can be repaired with good lifestyle and diet and not mean anything, or it could mean something. And we're going to scroll up, and we see that the albumin is in range. The frequency of albumin is in range, and that means that there isn't much damage. That would be out of range if there was more damage. And the circulating immune complex has one red flag. That's typically found in autoimmune disorders or some kind of vascular damage, and there's a little red flag on that, so perhaps. And we have ferritin out of range. Ferritin can cause damage to the vascular system. And we'll go down some more. I should also point out that we don't know if this is low or high, so it could be that that ferritin number was indicating low storage of iron in the blood rather than too much. Too much would be a problem in one direction, too little in another, and we'll try to sleuth that out as we keep going through this report. Next, as we look at the blood cells, we're seeing both white and red blood cells here. We have a red marker on the eosinophils, and we have a marker on the hemoglobin, and on the platelets, and on white blood cells. And as we go down further, we see fatty acids. Fatty acids are so important. There's a red mark on the alpha-linolenic acid, and that is really important because your omega derivatives are made from the parent alpha-linolenic acid, which is found in seeds and nuts and grasses. And they're essential to health. You have to eat them in the diet, and this person, it looks like, is not consuming enough of them. And we're going to go down to fatty acid omega-6, and we've got the gamma-linoleic acid is out of range, but the linoleic is in range. Be grateful for everything that's in range, and we'll eat more of the foods that have the GLA in it to bring that into range. Other fatty acids, monounsaturates and saturates, are all in range. Now we're going down to digestive function. Colon absorption is flagged, double flagged. That means our energy, our frequency enhancement or optimization did very little. That means it's a bigger problem than if it had been able to enhance that frequency. It was not able to really get it into range at all. And gastric absorption, hydrochloric acid, has got a flag on it. The small intestine nutrient absorption has 2 flags. So right now my mind is saying we're not digesting probably proteins well enough. Well, you could just put that all foods, but digestion isn't good enough. And it does almost no good to eat a lot of great food and supplements if you're not absorbing it and it's just going into the toilet. So when you see this, you want to fix the nutrient absorption. And our frequency scan, which again is unproven, it's experimental and educational, is suggesting that this is an area to look at. And so after doing this report, I would suggest to this person that they work on small intestine nutrient absorption, and I would be suggesting things like aloe vera to heal those linings, of the gastrointestinal tract, I would be suggesting iodine, collagen, vitamin C to make sure that that's assimilated, those kinds of things. Now looking further down, we're now looking at markers of inflammation and oxidation as shown by frequency, and we see cortisol and cytokine activity, and so stress creates cortisol, and as everyone knows, stress kills. For instance, dairy cows that would live 20 years on a family farm where they're loved will live 20-25 years. Those that live in factory production lifestyle only live 3 to 5 years because the stress kills them. And now going onward, we're going to look to insulin resistance. Basically, we only have 2 red flags, so probably sugar management is doing well in this person. We do have, maybe I spoke too soon, we have 2 markers on proinsulin. The peptide ratio, that indicates that the pancreas might be overburdened a little bit, so maybe we'll see inadequate enzyme production or something to do with the pancreas. Pancreas does both blood sugar and enzymes, and we're seeing fructosamine. Maybe this person's eating too much fruit or is not handling it well enough, because now we do see that the blood sugar has been high for a while with the A1C number. And now we're looking at amino acids. We're seeing a red flag on a couple of them, a couple important ones, and that would indicate to me not good enough. The digestion, assimilation of these is not good enough. Most of these are very common amino acids, and they should be in range, but they're not being assimilated. And now we'll look at some enzymes. We've got a couple enzymes out of range, and but mostly they're okay. So I'm suspecting the issue isn't the enzymes themselves, but the stomach linings or the gastrointestinal linings. Now we'll look at macro minerals. We've got phosphorus and sodium out of range. We've also got iodine, there we go, and iron. Iron is probably excessive in this person. It's flagged there. It's more likely that it's too high than too low. There's a possibility for being too low, but we've seen it several times, and it looks to me like iron levels are too high. Manganese and selenium are also flagged. So you want to increase assimilation of minerals, and I would begin by thinking about vitamin K, vitamin D, iodine, boron, and just making the gastrointestinal linings healthier. Okay, going down to look at vitamins, we're seeing not enough folate. That's a big one in our world today, so you want to make sure you get enough folate. And not enough beta-carotene, coenzyme Q10, and vitamin K. So vitamin K is essential to assimilation of minerals. Notice also here we have an MTHFR gene that's showing the frequency of being impaired. With an impaired gene like that, you have to eat much more folate for it to assimilate. And you want to, you'll get better results if you're eating methylcobalamin instead of the cyanocobalamin. But no matter what, you've got to eat more folate because it's not getting in as efficiently as it should. Going down, we got a flag for mental clarity, but no other indication as to why. Most of these other things, glutathione, hydration, hypoxia, are in range. But again, the range might be such that we're at the either end of the range, and the scan, which is only 85% accurate, might have missed, for instance, hydration, and that would affect mental clarity. And now we're going further down, looking at ligaments, disc degeneration. Mostly good, but maybe it's indicating there's not enough collagen. Maybe we'll see more about that as we go down this report. And there's a little bit of indication that bone growth isn't what it should be. One of them has to do with the cartilage. Okay, so now look, going down further, we see bone mineral density, calcification. Those are usually signs of inadequate vitamin K. And going down to the nerves, nerves are built from minerals and fatty acids. So I would say because of not enough minerals and not enough fatty acids, there's a little impaired uh, composition of nerves. Looking at out of range blood fat, there's not much I can do with that by itself. Keep going down, everything else looks really good. And the person in this that's being scanned is in the U.S. Army Special Forces, so they were in fairly good health. Collagen, hair and skin, teeth, just a couple of flags there. Probably this person's not getting enough vitamin C and iodine, and those are affecting collagen. They might not be eating enough collagen as well. Don't know about those Army diets. Now we're looking at endocrine glands. Mostly when I think endocrine glands, I think make sure there's plenty of zinc and iodine in the diet, as well as things like boron, minerals. Okay, so now we're looking at eye health. Two little flags there, but don't know what they mean by themselves. And everything I'm seeing here is making me think again, not enough iodine, not enough zinc, and perhaps other minerals. That probably all stems from not enough absorption, so need to fix digestion. Serotonin is produced in the gut, and we were thinking that the gut wasn't, gastrointestinal linings weren't as healthy as they should be, so that probably is why the serotonin's down, because it's made in the gut. And we're looking at the immune system now, and we see that it's some of the fortresses of the immune system, adenoids, tonsils, and lymph nodes are not as healthy and energized and functional as they should be, so we would want to improve the immune system with iodine, improving glutathione, minerals, parent essential oils, the ALA and LA, making sure those are as high as possible. And for kidney function, my guess is inadequate glutathione and inadequate hydration, although I don't know. I'm just guessing. Bile secretion being flagged, detoxification. The phase 2 is usually not enough broccoli and cauliflower. If we've got another methylation though, I would increase methyl donors, and so BTOPS supplements for methyl donors would be some things I would think of. And bile, I would think of lemon juice, lemonade. Now we're seeing some damage in the lungs. Something I know about this person is that they went through COVID a short time ago, so probably some damage to the tissues of the lungs there that needs to be healed. And reproductive stuff is mostly good. What's not, I attribute to a lack of zinc and iodine, selenium perhaps. And skin index, skin inflammation, I think that would all clear up with more glutathione and other antioxidants. Thyroid function is mostly good. We have some toxicities, things in the environment that get inside the body that the body doesn't really like because it doesn't have enough strength in the liver to detoxify it. And food sensitivities, I've seen a few for sure. It's common for a lot of people to have allergies. And now we're looking at bacteria that might be in the body. The frequencies are there. Whether or not the bacteria are actively growing and replicating, we don't know, but there's at least something there, or you wouldn't have this. And we're showing one from Babesia, which is one that gets involved in the red blood cells and weakens, lowers energy. So taking supplements and improving lifestyle. Remember, laughter is the best medicine. If you see bacteria, you want to laugh and be happy. You also want to get plenty of rest, plenty of water, plenty of iodine, plenty of immune support and minerals and vitamins. And we've got one called Advanced Immune Defense. Also probiotics, since intestines can be a safe harbor for bacteria. You want to make them not very safe by consuming probiotics, especially the soil-based organisms. We have a great one called Body Biotics. Looking at some more of these bacteria that are out of range, frequencies are too high. Sorry about this not staying straight in the middle as I scroll it up. Now we got a couple of Candida markers. And on human toxins, herbicides we picked up, pesticides, stimulants, that would be, this is actually very good. Most people have a lot more than this. Now, what heavy metals do we have? We have aluminum. Iron is out of range. There's another indication that iron's too high. Lithium, manganese, nickel, phosphorus, some of those were in under range and out of range. You have to figure out which it is, too low or too high. That's what I meant to say. Tin, nickel, those are the worst of those heavy metals. Some mold. Now we're looking at parasites, and this person lived for a while in the east in jungle areas, and so it looks like they've got quite a few parasites that they're dealing with. And so you'd want to take herbals to fight them off, as well as the good bacteria. And we have Paradex and Paragon, and also it would probably be worth visiting to a medical doctor and getting a prescription such as albendazole or ivermectin to help get rid of parasites. So with all of these in there, that would be a goal if this was my report, to get rid of those parasites. And now we're seeing viruses. Again, the frequencies there, we don't know if that means that anything at all. They could be simply passing through the body, dormant inside the body. Got a double flag on one of the types of flu. So if this was my report, I would be taking Silver Biotics and Mal-X and Bion, things like that. I'd also be doing really hot saunas, raise the body temperature. Body fever can also help do something with these. So I'd be looking at all those things. That's the end of this report, and shows you quickly how the scanner works.